Donald Trump had a rally over the weekend in Alaska, went all the way to Alaska to campaign for Sarah Palin, who is running for a congressional seat. Of course, Sarah Palin, former vice presidential candidate on John McCain's ticket. She is a wild character herself, but Trump went to campaign for her, and an interesting moment occurred where it looks like he's learned his lesson about saying one of the rare logical and reasonable things that he used to say, which was, the vaccine's good, I'm proud of the vaccine, take the vaccine. Because if you remember, he got booed at a number of rallies for saying that, because much of his audience is anti-vax. And so this is a really interesting and important moment to look at from this rally over the weekend, because it shows, for a long time, it seemed like Trump was the cult leader for this cult that took everything he said as truth and followed his every move and would die for him. It now looks like the cult has developed a personality and identity of its own, separate from Trump, even though they still support Trump, but they're so united and organized as their own movement that if Trump goes against them, it's not, okay, let's follow the leader, it's let's revolt against the leader. And so that's where it opens up an opportunity for other right-wingers who are more right-wing or more MAGA than even Trump to take Trump's seat on the throne. And it's fascinating because in this clip we're about to watch, Trump kind of can't help himself talking about it, which again, I like when he talks about how good the vaccine was, because it was great. It was one of the few good things that he did. And I do think he should talk about it a lot and encourage his followers to be vaccinated and all those types of things. But he won't say the word vaccine, but then he calls out the fact that he won't say the word vaccine, pretty clearly saying, I'm just scared of y'all, so we'll figure it out later. Really, really interesting. So let's watch this.
Then we did a hell of a job. Never got credit for that. More people died under Biden. You saw that. And the job we did with COVID, or as some people call it, to be more accurate, the China virus. But we did so much in terms of therapeutics, and a word that I'm not allowed to mention, but I'm still proud of that word. Because we did it. We did that. We did that in 9 months, and it was supposed to take 5 years to 12 years. Nobody else could have done it, but I'm not mentioning it in front of my people. But someday we're going to have to all sit down and have a little talk. But you know what? We did a hell of a job. Biden created...
Wow, that is not something you see in political speeches often. And that's one benefit to Trump, if you want to call it that, is that his mind works in such a way that when he really has something on his mind and his speechwriters have not put it in the speech explicitly, his advisors have said, don't bring this up, he can't help himself because he has an internal rule where when he wants to say something, he's going to say it. And it's gotten him into trouble, obviously, as we know, but it's also something that people like about him because they think he's being honest and frank with everyone, even though, yes, he's saying things politicians usually don't say, but half of those things are lies. So not really a benefit there. But you can see why the aesthetic of someone who's more unscripted and says what they mean and all those things is appealing to someone. You just wish it didn't come in a right-wing, lying, anti-democratic package, if that makes sense. But with this specifically, it's so fascinating because he's up there wanting to take credit for the vaccine because he knows it was one of the good things that his administration did, investing in the vaccine and trying to speed up that process to get the vaccines out to Americans as soon as possible. So he knows in his head, this is legitimately a good thing that I did. And his ego says, I have to take credit for the good things that I do. I have to take credit for things that I didn't even do. But then the few things that I actually did that were good, I have to take credit for. But then screaming on the other side of his brain is, my followers have booed me and I hate the sensation. My ego hates getting booed. So instead I'm going to do this weird tiptoe where it's like, I didn't exactly say vaccine or that it was good, so don't boo me, but I'm also going to let everybody know that I'm proud of it and blah, blah, blah. It's so fascinating and uncomfortable to watch. And you can tell he's had conversations behind the scenes with his advisors, with his allies, and they're like, dude, MAGA loves you except for when you bring up the vaccine issue. They've been so brainwashed by right-wing media that is a no-go. So don't bring it up. And he's sitting there like twitching because he can't make up his mind between, should I take credit for a good thing I've done or save myself from the uncomfortable and demoralizing feeling of being booed? And he couldn't figure it out. So he just goes, the word I can't say because of y'all, the word I can't say, meaning vaccine. Fascinating stuff. So the two takeaways from this is, one, the cult has an identity of its own and it doesn't just follow the leader. It also controls itself to some extent. But what I think the biggest takeaway, and this connects to the first one, is that right-wing media is more powerful than Trump himself. That is a huge thing that I've been curious about. Is Trump a more powerful leader of this movement, or is right-wing media as a whole? And it looks like right-wing media as a whole was, because used to anti-vax sentiment kind of came from random places. A lot of weird, liberals even were anti-vax. It wasn't a key part of the far-right identity until right-wing media realized that would be a really good grifting opportunity, and they made that a part of what it means to be a right-winger in America today. And so this reveals to us that if Trump is so scared of his audience revolting against him, not liking him, booing him for being pro-vaccine, that means that they have subscribed even more impactfully and powerfully to the right-wing media's set of beliefs and what they're spewing day after day. And so Trump no longer can just do whatever he wants and everyone who follows him is going to love him. He can do whatever he wants within what is the new identity of the right-wing movement, of the MAGA movement, that I think right-wing media has the biggest role in shaping now. Super fascinating stuff.